So what is the width tool? The width tool can be found on the left side of our toolbar right over here below the rotate tool. As you can see, the shortcut for the width tool is Shift plus W key on our keyboard, and the warp tool can be found right on the width tool option right below it after we use the right click of our mouse. Okay, now let's use the width tool so that you can understand how we use it. First, in order to use the width tool, we must have a shape. Okay, now before that, let's say I want to make a shape into a kind of a stroke so that I can use it as a design. So let's say I create a rectangle here, and I want this rectangle to have a yellow color. The stroke should be a bit bigger. There you go. Now let's use this direct selection tool. Click here. Say I want the design to be like this. I want the width of this line to be there. And let's say that I want to add some anchor points in the middle to make it a bit more interesting. After that, let's use the direct selection tool again and make the line or design like this. Now, as you can see, using our direct selection tool to do this work is not particularly that effective, but with the width tool we can do this task far more easily. All right, so let's delete this, and now let's take another tool, which is basically our pen tool, and then let's draw a line. So now we have drawn a line. Okay, after that, let's increase the stroke a bit. There you go. Now that we have drawn a line and created a stroke, let's remove the fill. Okay, now let's take the width tool, zoom in a bit. Now let's go to the end of this line, and you'll see whenever I have my cursor on the outside part over here. Alright, now after we have taken our width tool, we'll go over here on the end of our line, and then you'll see that our cursor, when we do not have anything to change the width for, it will show us a curvy line. But whereas when I move my cursor to the edge of the line over here, it changes the cursor to a plus sign, which means it is ready to change the width of this part of our line. Okay, now if I select this with my left click and then I drag it, you can see that it enlarges the size of the width in this particular side. Okay, now say I want the size to be small also, it can also do that for me. Large, it can also do that for me. So now let's do this. Let me decrease the size to show you the effect. And as you can see, on the right side particularly, our width has been increased, and on the left side it has stayed its same size. Okay, now say I want to change the middle part of my line, I can just click over here, then I can add width to it too, or I can just make it short like this. As you can see, like before, using a rectangle to change the shape and our direct selection tool, it's not that effective as much as this one. I can just click on it again and fix the size, or I can even move it to that side or the right side, wherever I want. Say I want to move it here, sure. Let's say I want to create another width over here, yes, sure, I can do that too. And also on this side I can create another one too. And if you want to move it, you can just select the path and then move it to your desired location, and you can also create another width over here. So this is how you basically use the width tool to increase and decrease the width of a line of your selective understanding. Should use this zoom, and now you can see this is what our line looks like. Okay, So this is how you use the width tool in order to create different lines of designs and shape. All right, now let's move forward to the next part. Let's take the pen tool, but before that we need to delete this. Let's take the pen tool, and now let's draw an alphabet. Say I want to draw the alphabet B. So now I go here, then I put it like this, straight. After that I go here, and then let me remove the fill, and I create a line right there. There you go. Now you can see over here I have created the letter B using our pen tool. Okay, now let me increase the stroke for this B. All right, there you go. You can see that I have increased the stroke, and after that let's change the width of the word. So let's select the width tool. Now over here, if I select any part of our line, you can see that I can enlarge it or shorten it according to my wish. Now let me enlarge it and put it on this way, and let me make this part shorter. Right, let's say I want to enlarge in this part, I can just do that, or make it short. Yes, I can do that too. Let's make it normal again. Say I want to make this part short. There you go. This one too. There you go. Let's say I want to make this part shorter. I can just drag this up there. After that I can make it short. Alright, so this is how you use the width tool to change the shape of your pen tool diagram. Okay, your pen tool line. Now another way to change your width is to go to Windows and then select stroke, or you can also use the shortcut, which is Ctrl plus F10. Now you can see that over here we have our stroke options, and by default it will be like this. But if you want to see more options, click on these three bars and then select show options. Excuse me, sorry, itu cut করে দিও তারপর হচ্ছে fuck. And then after that, over here you can see we have some options, which is cap, border, align, stroke. Okay, so let me use the selection tool, select this, and now we can change its stroke. Let's say I want the cap to be curved, and as you can see over here we have a curved path for both our paths over here. And let's say I want to make it into a rectangle, we have both rectangles here. And let's say I want our corners to have a round join and the cap to have a round join as well. There you go. And the align stroke over here is not there. Now let's select the dashed line, and now you can see that our letter has become a dashed path, which means there are gaps between it. We can edit it by putting the points here. Let's say I want the point to be 23, and after that if I just leave it out, you can see that it edited by itself. Now let's remove the dashed line. Now here we can also add arrows in any way possible. Let's just change it back to default, and this one is for this side, change it back to default. And this is how it works. And here the profile, and here in profile we can just change the shape to any way we want. So let's say I want it like this, we can get it like that, or this, or that, or this. You get what I'm trying to say, right? And we can also flip And there you go, we're back to square one. Okay, now that we're done with our text over here using our line tool, let me just put this back here. Let's go ahead and teach you about the warp tool. Let me delete this. Now let's make a rectangle first. Okay, let's reduce the stroke. And this time let's add a fill. Let's say I add the color blue. Okay, now let's take the warp tool, and the warp tool shortcut is Shift+R. Okay, now after taking the warp tool, let me just zoom out a bit. Okay, this rectangle is pretty small. Let me make it a bit bigger. Now let's use the warp tool, and you can see when I come here across a path and I click and drag it up, it changes the shape of our rectangle. Alright, basically you can use this warp tool to reshape your rectangle in any way you want. As you can see, it works in all manners and it's very easy to use for us. There you go. Now I'll show you other ways of using the warp tool. Okay, let's delete this rectangle and create another rectangle now. Okay, now after this we will select the warp tool, then we will go to FX, and after that we'll go to warp over here. But before that I made a mistake, so let me just delete this rectangle first. Let's create another one. There we go. Okay, now after that let's go to effects, then we'll go to warp over here. Now let's create an arc. I guess you noticed after I clicked on warp and the warp type, we have the warp option that popped up over here, and here we have the options of style where we can create different types of warp, different types of warps using these styles. The wave will not work here. The fish, squeeze, twist, rise, wave. You can basically understand what I'm trying to say, right? So let's just create it as an arc for now. Now I will show you how to input a text inside our warped shape. So let's say I want to input the text lorem ipsum over here. Let's use that. Press Shift and Alt to enlarge it, and then we will just put it here, get a bit more smaller. Okay, now after we're done with that, we can just go over here below our menu bar, and here you can see that it's saying the option to make envelope. I click on that and the warp options also pop up for me. Remember that whenever we use the warp options for our text, we will already have our warp options over here, but for a shape we have to go to effects and then go to warp. Okay, now that we're done with that part, let's go ahead, and you can also see that we can put our text in this manner. Let's say the fisheye, you can see that it works with it too. So I want to keep it like this. Now if you want to just put your text over there to this, and then let's say I want to stretch it a bit, so just do that. Say put it a bit like this, that way it will fit. There you go. Now our text fit in our shape. So now let's just refill our text to white. double click on the text and then it will turn to white. Now let's go back. Now you can see that our text has filled inside our shape perfectly. Alright, now let's go to the next part. Now I will show you how to adjust the text in a particular shape. Alright, now first let's select the text that we want to make. Let's say I want to select this one and use the selection tool, Shift plus Alt on the keyboard, make it big. Okay, after we make our shape, after we make our text, let's create a shape. So let's say instead of a rectangle tool this time, I want a circular shape in an oval. Okay, then after that, let's remove the fill. Let's add a stroke. Okay, and then after this, let's select both our shape and text. Okay, then we will go to Object in our menu bar. Then we will go to Envelope Distort, and after that we will select Make with Top Object. And now you can see that the shape has adjusted itself to our text. Okay, let's delete that and let's try it with a different shape. So this time I want to try it with a rectangle tool. So just like again, first we need to write our text. Okay, now then after that, let's make our rectangle tool and say this time I want to change the sides of the anchors or size of the anchors. Let's add some anchor points over here. Okay, let's use the selection tool to go up, and after that shift to select our text to, go to Object, then we will go to Envelope Distort and then Make with Top Object. Oh, I almost forgot. Select it out and let's remove the fill and then make it black stroke. Now let's select the object. We should press Shift to select the text to. After that, Object. Then we will select Envelope Distort, Make with Top Object. And now you can see that our object has distorted inside our envelope shape. Alright, so that is how you use the warp tool for doing that. Okay, now that we're done with this part, let's delete it and open a new document. But this time, instead of the landscape orientation, we'll go with the portrait orientation and press Create. Over here you can see that I have a portrait orientated artboard. Now what I'm going to do is explain to you about magazines. You can see that magazines sometimes have images inside the text, but they go around them really nicely, right? So I'm going to show you how to recreate that over here. So first, let's say I have some of text over here. Okay, now after that, let's justify it by pressing Ctrl Shift J. Okay, after that, I'm going to remove the spaces over here so that it turns out to be one long paragraph. Okay, now that we're done with that, let's use this and then make it a bit bigger. Alright, so now let's open an image. Okay, say I want to open this image of a lamp. Now let's use the selection tool, select it, make it a bit smaller, copy it, go back over here and paste it, and I'll paste it in front. Right, Now you can see that my image is over here, and say this was a magazine, people will be able to read the first few lines, but the rest of the lines will be blocked by our image. So how do we fix this? Pretty easily. We just have to make sure that the first image is in top, and then we just select both of them. All right. After that, we right click, and then we basically click on Okay, after selecting both of our now after selecting both our image and text, we'll go to object over here. Then we'll select text wrap right down there, and then we'll select make. Now you can see that our text over here has come over here, and we can basically move it around, and we can read the rest of the text. Now let's say instead of doing that, I made my image a bit more smaller, and I wanted to add it over here. Okay, now since my image is already selected, let's press shift and select the text, go to object, then we'll go to text wrap and make. Press OK. There you go. It looks way more better than last time. So this is all you have to know about the warp tool. So thank you for watching this video, and I hope you have understood how to use the warp tool and the width tool. And I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.